Hey guys, welcome to the Emergence podcast, a podcast that aims to empower fitness professionals through candid conversations about building sustainable minds, bodies, and businesses. I'm your host, Laura Gunder, ex professional ballet dancer turned classical Pilates instructor based in New York City, sharing my insights from a decades long journey navigating an industry with no set path to success. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hi, Kat. Thank you so much for joining me on the Emergence podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Laura.
I'm so excited to talk to you, actually. Can you give me a little bit more background about yourself and how you got into being in fitness?
Uh, well, I have been in the fitness industry now for just about 8 years since I moved to New York City. I actually started with long distance running. That was kind of my gateway into movement. I was a long distance runner growing up throughout high school, and then I just ran recreationally through college. And then post college, I did a handful of marathons and half marathons. But I really found my stride when I started pairing strength training with running. So, in finding that for myself, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know why I'm not, you know, using this and as a guide for running, but also sharing this with other people because I had been a runner since I was 13. And I was like, why are we not doing enough strength training? Thankfully, I did have a great coach who implemented a lot of that. So that kind of got me into movement and wanting to teach. So I had been with the studio in Brooklyn for the past 7 years, did every role under the sun there from operations, programming, coaching. But I really come back to the teaching and coaching aspect because that is just where my heart is. So that's kind of the long winded answer of how I got into it. But I really just found it for me empowering to know my own body and feel educated on how to move well and move in ways that feel good and feel sustainable for me. And that's why I just love teaching and coaching so much
I
too.
love that you said education and sustainability, first and foremost for yourself. I think something that I've been noticing throughout the coaches that I've talked to and all the experts is that it kind of starts with yourself
Mm.
and
Hmm.
having that practice and sort of understanding of your needs. And then I feel like once you really fully understand your needs and what you need to best sustain your body, then you can sort of have that eye and fine tune for your clients. I don't know if you feel that way, but it's like the more I know how to take care of myself, the easier it is for me to take care of what my clients needs. That
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
mean basing work forcing them to work out the way I want to work out, but it's like kind of looking on the outside and being like noticing certain patterns within them and being like, okay, I see that this is too much or this isn't too much for you.
Yeah, totally. And, I firmly believe that every body is different. Every body has a different story, different uh, ways that we move, which is so cool. And like you have to find what works best for your body. And I think that's the cool thing about working in this industry too, is like you can really help people find what they enjoy
Yeah.
or help them rediscover like what goals they might actually have for themselves. And I think that when you first get started in teaching movement, you can feel a little bit of imposter syndrome if you yourself aren't like following the same practices that you're teaching. So, the more you teach, the more you realize the things that you teach need to be in line with what like how you carry yourself and how you move and how you practice movement too.
Totally. And you just said, I really like that you said that, kind of in alignment with yourself. And you said you just kind of had a transition. And so, how does this new transition and kind of where are you transitioning to now in your like teaching practice?
So, I'm a mom. That was a huge part of it. My son is almost 2 years old. I like
Mm.
can't even believe it. Time flies. But since I found out I was pregnant and I was teaching at the time, I was teaching 15 classes a week.
That's crazy.
I it was a lot on my body,
Yeah.
and I really think from then I had to shift how I view movement and recovery in my life because I mean, as we know, New York City is very go, go, go. And like we have to schedule in and force ourselves and have the discipline to recover and rest. And I really had to with this. And I just had to train differently. And I think in going through that for myself and then still training while I was pregnant, still teaching while I was pregnant, and then coming out of the postpartum period where recovery and really tuning into my body was so important. I just feel like I refound my purpose in teaching again,
Mm.
having gone through all of that. I really learned as a person who, as a birthing body, what support and education is actually out there and what is not out there. And I'm so lucky to have the knowledge that I have and be in the movement and fitness space so that I knew to ask for certain things, or I knew to look for certain things. And that's like what has inspired me to make this transition, because I just, you know, I was very lucky and I had a lot of resources and I was very privileged. And I just think that that should be general knowledge and tools and resources for everyone, not just people who are privileged. So that's like where my transition is. I'm really steering more into working with prenatal and postpartum clients. That's strength work, mobility work, and just helping them feel really confident in their bodies as their bodies make this huge change in a short amount of time.
Yeah, that's like it's really cool to see you kind of like when you're going through such a huge change in your life and like how movement and fitness can grow with you and
Mhm.
sort of change and evolve as you change and evolve. And you said something about privilege. What exactly do you mean about privilege? I mean, like, is it terms of working with different clients of different like ethnic backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, or is it more just like privilege which is within education, which is available to all females, kind of?
Hmm. I do think a lot of it is socioeconomic. I think like we're in like more of a boutique,
Yeah.
in the boutique fitness world where, you know, not everyone has the financial capacity to be able to afford taking certain classes or have private training or do one-on-one Pilates and things like that, which
Hmm.
I was fortunate to be able to, because of my upbringing and um, you know, the financial status that my parents were in, to allow me to kind of build this life for myself.
Yeah.
And so I have had access to just more resources and more support, like being able to go to physical therapy,
Right.
and I learned so much about my pelvic floor by doing one-on-one Pilates, which I just like, pelvic floor is so important, not just for
Yeah.
pregnancy, just for life, and to be able to do all the movements we want to do and lift heavy and run fast and all of that stuff. So I talk about that I'm privileged in that, like, I had I was in a place where I had this access and the financial means to be able to take on those services for myself.
And educate yourself.
Exactly.
So it's
And
you feel like you could like, "I wanna give back now," and sort of use that
exactly.
privilege, yeah.
And make the knowledge that I have and the resources that I had just more easily accessible to people.
Mhm.
I went through a modern maternity care center here in New York. All my family's in the West Coast, and when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, I need to get as much support as I can here. So
Mhm.
I was like Googling, like, I don't know, just like anything that was close to just being able to like message someone, be like, hey, I'm so nervous about this, or hey, I'm not really sure about this. And I found that, which was it was so crazy. It's called ULA.
What
They're
is it
great.
called?
ULA.
Ula.
it's a
Interesting.
it's a maternity care center. They take more holistic practices,
Yeah.
as opposed to just like what you would see just like going into the hospitals and such. They really care about your mental health as you're going through everything
And is
too,
is
which
it
is so
like
great.
an app, kinda like a connected
No,
app?
they
No.
they have I think 2 or 3 locations in New York, but it's like the nicest doctor's office I've ever been to. It's so comfortable, it does not feel sterile at all, and like I never felt like any question that I had was stupid. They had a chat where
Mhm.
I would get a response within 24 hours of just like if I had a concern about something that was coming up for me, mentally or physically. And like I talked to other friends who were pregnant around the same time, and they were just like, I just need someone to consult, because I feel like I can't just call my doctor and ask them,
Right.
because I'm just being met with these answers, and I know that there may be another way. Um, which is like the biggest part of why I'm making this transition too, is specifically with the postpartum phase, which I'm sure with Pilates you see a lot of
Mhm.
people too who come
Pre and
in,
postnatal for sure,
yeah,
yeah.
who come in postpartum and they're like, okay, I got cleared at 6 weeks or 8 weeks to exercise again. I'm ready to go. And it's just like, that in and of itself is just like there should be guidance on how to safely go back to movement, because yes, maybe your bigger muscle groups are still able to push and pull and hinge and all that stuff, but like there is some training that you have to do because your core and your pelvic floor have just gone through
A traumatic event, essentially,
exactly.
like you
Ex-
gave birth to, yeah.
exactly. You just like had a human inside of you, and now the human is gone. Like there's neuromuscular connection that has to happen again. That your muscles have literally expanded, or if you've had a C-section.
And your body's changed, like, your weight distributions change, obviously, because 'cause you're
Exactly.
heavier in the front, so your body's gonna adjust for
Exactly.
those things.
Alignment things, like,
Mhm.
there's so much, and it's just like that, all of that that I wish I could share with people to know,
Yeah.
like, your postpartum journey doesn't have to look a certain way that society says it's gonna look, and it's not, you don't have to pee yourself for life after you have a kid, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I think my work really isn't just supporting them, it's also helping to break down stigmas and myths that there are around pregnancy and postpartum to allow birthing bodies to feel more empowered to move and make decisions for themselves.
Well, that's really amazing.
Yeah,
And I
thanks.
wanna kind of go back to this podcast is for most people, but mainly for people in fitness, and I know it's really hard for women to imagine depending on I don't know if you're teaching a bunch of classes, you might be a studio owner, you might just, work primarily for yourself, but tell me a little bit more. I mean, I haven't had a kid, but I know that there's probably a lot of, like, prep for that because, like you said earlier, you were used to just teaching 15 classes a day or just really, really hustling and that's a lot of effort and work on your part. And then as a trainer and somebody who may not be salaried or something, there's probably a lot of prep or like fear that comes along with that. Is there anything
Definitely.
like that you found you kind of learned through that process of shifting into motherhood?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, so I was teaching so much and I still wanted to get back to teaching and training clients, but I had to, again, a very challenging process of not feeling the pressure to bounce back. I like bounce back culture after pregnancy is just it really is so hard on the person who's coming back because your body isn't the same, but you
Yeah.
never lost your body. It's just a different body. And I think shifting the mindset instead of like I have to get back to where I was before, it's now like, hey, I have a new baseline. I got to recreate my new baseline, and I took it from there, and I really tried to keep that as like my north star as opposed to like comparing myself to
Yeah.
my peers, which like it was inspirational to be around so many strong people back again when I was teaching, but like I had to check in with myself on where I actually was and slowly ease back into it because I knew that if I pushed myself, I didn't want to create more injury or make things harder for myself in my recovery period. So and through that, like everyone I was working with, all of my clients, everyone was so understanding. Like they knew I wasn't going to be doing a full sit up my first week back. I went back to teaching literally at exactly 12 weeks postpartum.
Wow.
So I got cleared at 6 weeks postpartum to reintegrate training. So I had 6 weeks where I was really just paying attention to my breath
Hmm.
to work my core muscles and rebuild that neuromuscular connection. And then my pelvic floor, which like I'm so happy I knew about my pelvic floor and just how to regain its strength, but also know that it acts like any other muscle, how it has a range of motion. So, long winded answer, but people were just so kind and understanding of where I was at because I think I was really open about it
Hmm.
too, being like, hey, I just had a baby. I'm not going to do the full sit up because it doesn't feel right for me, but this is how you get into it. Or like pull ups and chin ups were an exercise that like require a lot of core
Right.
and back strength to be able to perform them. And I just wasn't in a place yet to be able to do those. So I did them heavily assisted, or I actually just didn't do them right in the beginning because I didn't feel ready for it. And I acknowledging that and being open about where I was postpartum, I actually found that people really like took to it and respected it. And I do feel like it was encouraging for people who were postpartum or who are pregnant to be like, hey, like she's not doing this thing because she knows that it might be dangerous for her, or she's not ready to do it yet, and that's okay. And that has been like my guide. I can't say it's not hard to compare myself. Like people are training for high rocks and marathons and stuff. It's just like this was my new goal, my new marathon. My new marathon was to um get back to doing box jumps confidently without
Mm,
feeling like I might leak or something like that. And when I shifted it to that, it made training really enjoyable for me because I just had different goals to where I was at. And it made teaching really different for me too, because I was able to just be a little bit more empathetic because I saw the journey that I had to take and understand that like everyone is on their own, like,
timeline and path and
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. And like it's never it's never like linear. It's always there's always a
changing.
cycle, there's always change, you're always restarting again. So I feel like that has been a big shift for me just with programming and with how I approach working with clients. Someone who might be going through a huge career change and it's affecting how they move, how they sleep, and stuff. It's just like you take all of that into account when you're actually getting to know people and working with them for a longer period of time, too.
Yeah, it's like kind of what we were saying before about having that understanding, baseline understanding of yourself and your own needs. It
Hmm.
really gives you a lens to see other people in a very different way because it gives you that compassionate
Totally.
lens to be like, yeah, I'm not going to push my agendas on other people. And
Hmm.
like, like I love what you said about kind of making realistic and attainable, achievable goals. And I think that's super important for not only yourself, but clients to make goals that it's great to have, big dreams and goals.
Hmm.
But I feel like in order to get to those big dreams and goals, you need to sort of be able to move the needle in a sustainable and practical way,
Totally.
which I love what you said, like doing a box jump without leaking or just like, you know, lifting maybe 5 pounds heavier than you
Hmm.
did 2 weeks ago, and those things will actually take you to that bigger goal and dream much more
Totally.
quickly than just trying to jump, like, full on, full force, which I
Hmm.
also am learning, and I feel like constantly learning and unlearning, but
Totally.
trying to, yeah, be realistic and dream big, but really make those goals attainable for not only you and
Right.
your
Because then
clients.
it movement actually, and I love this part about yoga, but like they talk about it's not just like going to take a yoga class, it's your yoga practice. And I think the same way about uh, all modalities of movement if you're hoping to do it for a long period of time and like you change through your career, through things you're going on emotionally, mentally, and like the way that you move also changes, the things you enjoy changes. So I do think it really is cool to see it more as a practice, and that really helps for it to feel more sustainable. It's just like something that's a part of your life that
Yeah,
you
it
do.
evolves as you evolve.
Mhm.
Especially in fitness, I can like what you were saying about being very comparative. Like there's already that pressure just being in fitness to attain a specific look. And then your body is going to change as your life changes. Even if you're not pregnant, like if you're going through a stressful period of time, your
Exactly.
weight is my weight is constantly fluctuating. And as a trainer, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves
Mhm.
to constantly be shredded. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
think we all know, like good trainers know that sometimes when I'm the most shredded, I'm not the healthiest, at all, at
Heard
all.
that.
You
I
know what
heard
I
that.
mean?
Yeah, it's like my meals are all over the place. My sleep is all over the place. I'm like
Or like
overtraining.
depressed or something and like
Right.
going through a personal thing
Right,
that's like
exactly.
it's not
Mhm.
great.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's nice to that compassionate lens to give yourself.
Yeah,
Really like that.
and I think too it I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a mom and I feel very motherly now, but like I as facilitators and teachers of movement, it is our responsibility to like look after people and nurture them through their sessions. I'm not saying be their therapist,
Yeah, no.
but like meet people where they're at when you're working with them, and like that's how you build a relationship and the trust, and they'll want to keep
Yeah,
working with you and seeing.
100% because they see that you care enough to understand them on a human level and then
Mhm.
you can get them to where they need to be because it's like you can read them. It's like any teacher, regardless if it was physical or not, but those teachers who really I feel like showed up for me and kind of like saw me and could see when I looked defeated or like see when I needed a little push. Like those are the teachers and coaches I think that make the most change
Mhm.
is really being able to have that sense of like knowing your team, your group class, like understanding the room or knowing your client. It's like
Totally.
it's almost like a
Totally.
superpower in itself
Yeah.
to really be able to see your clients that day and be able to decipher what is needed.
Yeah, meet them where they're at. If it's like
Yeah.
if pushing isn't where it's at for the day, it's like, okay, you tell me where you're at and then we'll adjust as needed. And I think that's a sign of a really good instructor,
No,
really good teacher.
100%. I also want to talk about, I know we're as teachers, we kind of always evolve, but I feel like a lot of the times people have like values that kind of stay with you, like core values that no matter how you change and evolve as a person, like your values are kind of the same. Do you have like one or two really core values that's sort of like your guide or like North Star to no matter where your life is taking you and you're making decisions, what's best for your family or your career? Are there any, like, kind of values that you just hold so strong and kind of help you to navigate your life?
Hmm.
It's kind of a tricky one.
Yeah, wow.
Gotcha.
You
Just
really
kidding.
really gave me one to think about my life. Um, um, I think 2 things. Uh, one is that, you know, community and real connection really is like human nature, and we need it to be able to continue on. And like the way that you contribute to your community and connect with people is by being really real with yourself and looking after yourself. And I know there's that saying that like self what is it, self-care isn't selfish, and
Mhm.
like it sounds really cliche, but like you have to take care of yourself. And I mean take care of yourself, that's emotionally, that's physically, that's mentally, like
Financially, yeah.
financially. Like you got to do those things for you. And in doing so, the goal is never just only you have that. The goal is that I have this and I want other people to be able to have this too. And like that brings it to that community aspect. And I think like in everything that I do with my work and how I interact with my friends and with my community, it comes from a place of like, this is what I need. These are my boundaries. These are my visions. And like you are able to have those for yourself too. And like my, like I found like my purpose is to like support people in doing that with the work that I do. So I think always leading with wanting the best for other people and wanting that same thing for yourself. And then, oh gosh, what was my second thing? I guess not really my second thing, but like a tangent to that is surrounding yourself around people or being putting yourself in situations and saying yes to things that you feel in your body feel safe. I've really learned that my body understands what I'm going through before my mind
Mhm.
does, which I think like it's like duh, but like I really with recent things I've been going through have really felt that like I felt tenseness and like really dense in my body when I would move, and I just like didn't understand why. My sleep was suffering, and I heard something on a podcast recently about like what does it mean and what does it feel in your body to feel safe. And I was like, wow, that just like in like hits like everything. So part of that like looking after yourself and looking after others is like what does feeling safe and feeling held feel like to you? And then, like, what does that feel like for others? And how can we support everyone in our community to be able to find that and have that access to that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I have taken your class and I have really gotten that from you and the way you make kind
Oh,
of
I
everybody
appreciate
no, it's true.
that.
Make everybody kind of feel seen and make an effort to give people, you know, variations that best suit them for that
Mm.
day and yeah, make things achievable for them. And I can tell just by you actually like agreeing to be on this podcast and no, it's true. It's like
I
it is a
appreciate that.
community based thing, and I really appreciate you making the time and sharing your story because like you said and I also I'm like all over the place, but
No,
talking
you're
about being
good.
in your body that really resonated with me, but I think it's such a journey and as teachers and coaches because we're so also so concerned about our clients' bodies all the
Mhm.
time, I know that that's something that I am working on, listening to those cues. I think also just as you get older, you go through personal things that require you to really get real and sit
Yep.
with that discomfort
Mhm.
and understand what your body is trying to tell you.
Exactly.
I'm sure we've all been there in that moment where you're just like your body is like, listen,
Yeah,
and you're
like, "I
in
can't do this
yeah, you're
anymore."
in some kind of chronic pain.
Yep.
You're yeah, like for me, like my hair was falling out, and that's the first time that I really had to sit in the discomfort and
Mm.
reevaluate
Mhm.
my life and just be like, hmm, like clearly there's something going on here. And I think it's time to slow down and
Yeah,
listen.
for sure.
And how, like, I mean, you're a mom, so you're juggling a lot of things, and it must be really, how do you make time as sort of as a coach, as a mom, you're a wife, like that's a lot to sort of juggle. How do you make that time and space for yourself?
Well, firstly, I'm gonna say it's chaotic.
Yeah, I mean, like it doesn't have to be pretty,
It's
but
it's very chaotic, but and most of the time, I actually am like I'm also too like, "How the heck did I make it to my client on time?" Because I've been awake for 4 hours and, like, it's like 10 AM and I'm exhausted already. Um, I think it actually really comes down to your systems, and, like, I'll bring it back to feeling safe, like, I know that feeling really stressed out in the morning and getting ready and running around and rushing to do things, I, like, feel terrible. I feel terrible, I don't feel safe. I don't feel calm in my body. And just like, okay, take a step back. What are things I can do to do that? It's my systems. I build out my systems. It's packing everyone's lunch and food for the next day. It's setting out my clothes. It's communicating with my partner. Hey, like we have a whiteboard that we have in our kitchen that just has every single day who's on daycare pickup and drop off, who has a meeting at what time, who has something going on, so that it's just like we don't have to rush the communication. It's just like it's laid out for us there so we know what to pack for the day. We
mhm.
know what my son needs. Um and I think that creating those systems is really helpful to let the machine run smoothly, the machine being my family unit. And then personally, just being okay with things not going the way that I want them to go. I am someone who I make a plan, I have the spreadsheet, I make the plan, I envision it, I like calculate every minute and then Parker gets into the dog's water bowl 2 minutes before we have to leave and then he's just covered in water and it's like, okay, well how are we going to make our train? And being able to adapt and respond not out of emotion and stress, but really give yourself a moment to uh,
Be
take a
in your
moment,
body, right?
take a beat, because I can feel it. You can
Mhm.
feel like you have the nervous sweat or your heart rate is elevated. You're breathing up into your chest, and it's just like if you give yourself that moment to actually just think before you act, then like that just carries you on. And I think that I, of course, did not start off like this early on, but I think like I had to. I had to figure out a system and a way to manage my stress and the chaos in order to keep teaching and have a social life and have dates with my partner and spend quality time with my son that's not like panicking about a mess or what we're going to do next and such. So it's this whole transition of becoming a mother and now a mother with a toddler who is running around and wants to get into everything and climb everything. It's taught me a lot about patience and grace with myself and with my family and like not trying to control everything because you can't control everything. You can
Mhm.
control how you respond, which I think is like the best way forward. Like check yourself, give yourself a moment, give yourself a beat, and
Mhm.
then choose how you want to move forward from there.
I love how you said systems and adaptability and also giving yourself that moment because for the Emergence podcast, what basically this is about is controlling the control factors so you can better
Mm.
prepare. You prepare what you can prepare, which is like you
Mm-hmm.
said, your systems. You have the calendar with your husband, you know, you know where everybody needs to be. and then you can better react or not react to what's out of your control. Because
Totally.
you have those other things in place, those aren't the things that are gonna stress you out. You know, it's like those things are already in place, and then the dog gets into the water bowl, and you have that moment to react, but the lunch is already packed, so
Right.
that's not stressing you
Right.
out. So the uncontrollable thing happened, but all the things in your power, you did. So I feel like regardless if you're have children or you're just a busy, young, new fitness professional, those control factors are super important. And for me, yeah, I've learned too, like, I need that time in the morning because
Mhm.
there's nothing worse than being in fitness and you have to go to a group of people or like a client and you get there and your shoulders are up to your ears, your
Totally.
heart's racing, like they feel it and you're just
Mhm.
like you're just like buzzing like and you're supposed to be calm and be like a
Right.
leader
Right.
and that's another thing. Yeah, like I used to show up to my classes like that, just be like
I
buzzing.
mean I mean, like, same, and sometimes you just, like it's even just, like, a moment. It's a breath where you just, like, "I'm not gonna run in. I'm gonna stand outside.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a big belly breath, and I'm here." And
Yeah.
that's all it has to be. I'm not gonna say that I'm perfect and that I've
No.
nailed that, but, like, I it's always a work in progress, and, like, as my schedule gets busier, I'm sure more challenges will come up, but, like, I just then have to rework the system or see what in the system isn't working,
Yeah.
you know?
It's like it evolves as you evolve, and
Exactly.
I think the first step is exactly what you said is honestly, it's so simple, but sometimes so hard to remember is, yeah, notice the feeling.
Mhm.
You don't have to react to the way you're feeling and take a deep breath because in the end, it's just a moment and it does actually go away,
Yeah, and,
like in
like,
the grand scheme
you
of life.
especially if you're, like, you're newer to fitness or you're about to approach a situation that is nerve-wracking, it's like, you don't need to overstress yourself, like, you already have something coming up, like, try to be as present with yourself as you can, and, like, sometimes it does take a bit of, like, habit changing, which, like, it might be hard to start, like, let's say, okay, I'm always, like, really rushing to get to where I need to be on Mondays. Maybe you just need to wake up 10 minutes earlier
Mhm.
so that you're not rushing. And it's, like, as simple and as small as that, and it might be hard, the extra 10 minute or the taking 10 minutes less of sleep, but, like, you'll adapt. You'll go to bed 10 minutes earlier.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shift a little bit
Okay.
to kind of pre and post. We kind of talked about it briefly, but more of I want to talk about um kind of postpartum now.
Mhm.
Actually, not postpartum, kind of leading up to. So what would you go pre
Prenatal. Yeah.
prenatal and sort of how did you shift your workout? So you were, you know, Henning, you were pregnant, but then you're still teaching at the same volume as you were teaching. How long did you teach until you gave birth? All the way to the end?
I stopped teaching 1 week before he was born.
Before he was
I
born.
I did I did technically, say that my last day of teaching was 2 weeks before his due date, but
Oh my
he
god.
came a week early.
Honestly, women are so incredible to me. Like I know other so many pregnant trainers that if you're any of you who are listening, but like super women, like powerhouses. It's incredible what women can do, honestly.
It's it goes back to what we were saying, like, I'm not gonna teach something and not also live that in my body and that not be, like, a part of who I am and how I, like, train and how I practice. So, like, I had to really shift, like, what are my goals during pregnancy? My goals are, uh, feel strong and stay injury free as my
Mhm.
body is changing every week. That's my baby in my uterus growing. So,
Mhm.
like, so many physiological changes happening there. Two, I wanted to physically and mentally prepare for labor. Uh, and then three is the postpartum period. I just wanted to set myself up for success and train my muscles, train my core and pelvic floor, and have that connection with them already so that the postpartum period felt less daunting. And I just, like, tried my best to, like, educate myself as
You
much as
set your body
possible.
up for its success,
Exactly.
essentially. You put it in a
Exactly.
good position.
So while teaching, keeping those things in mind, I was still trying to train, like, 3 times a week. I was napping when I needed to. I was really
Oh my god.
listening to my
Yeah.
body when I needed rest. Like, that was so so important to not push myself because I was teaching so much. And the workouts that I were doing were really like maintaining and like doing movement patterns that are essential to
Mhm.
everyday life. So like squatting, lunging, hinging, pushing, pulling. Still kept to that and then prioritize a lot of breath work. When it came to actually teaching, because like you've taken my class
Yes.
before, there are movements there like that are not safe generally for pregnant folks. So I never pushed myself to actually demonstrate exercises that were not safe for my body because I would not want to show
Mm.
another pregnant person or just show anyone that like you should push yourself to a point where you're potentially putting yourself in danger. So I did my very best to demonstrate and cue the movement. I really had to get good at cueing, um, because I wasn't gonna uh, not compensate. I wasn't going to put myself at a risk just to
Compromise.
yeah
Yeah.
compromise. There you go to perform. And people understood and really respected that. And it was funny. I just found that I had a lot like increasingly more pregnant people taking my class because I think they just felt safe. Um, in a group setting. If there was a day where we had box jumps,
Mhm.
I was still teaching them or demonstrating them up to like the start of my third trimester. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, this is where I stop. And I actually would just like show how you would get into it, and there was no issue there. And I would even sometimes just ask clients to do it, and they were so happy to support and understanding. Um, and then, like I said earlier, similarly, it was the same with postpartum. Like I was
Mhm.
just really real about where my body was at, and that was, of course, hard for me at the start because I'm such like a I do it myself and I'm so internally competitive. No one put that pressure on me, but I put the pressure on myself. Um, but I was just met with just so much understanding and kindness from my peers
Mhm.
and from clients that like it really made like teaching through pregnancy and postpartum really enjoyable. And I hope that like that helped to empower other pregnant and postpartum clients who I was working with or who I was in community with to see that like you can still do it. You just have to know your body and know what you can and can't do.
And adapt to where you are.
Yes.
But yeah, I love that you said all of that because I know regardless of your especially for well, I'll talk about people in fitness, but a lot of people who teach fitness or post like they're athletes, ex dancers, just very they come from very intense,
Hmm.
rigorous
I mean,
backgrounds.
I
I
definitely
think,
did
yeah.
too. Yeah.
So it's like I think that's probably so beautiful and like just in terms of like the mindset set shift and the
Mm,
challenge, that internal challenge, and you probably will feel a lot of tension. It's like I have to change the way I think about movement, but it doesn't
hmm.
have to be in a negative way. It's kind of like I think if you're really smart and curious and really into education, which you clearly are, because you've shifted all the way into pre and postnatal training, but it's like having that ability to use that moment in time, this period of your life, to really dive deep and think about exercise in a whole new way.
Yeah.
And
I
it's amazing.
I think something that's so cool and like very respectable with people in our industry is the pursuit of knowledge and education because like this is a science based career and like as we evolve
Oh, that's okay. Just give it a tap.
there we go as we keep evolving, as time goes on, as
Mhm.
we change as a human species, human race, we learn things, we discover new things, and we can implement them, we can practice with them. And I found that through my own experience, it was like the more I started to learn, the more I realized I did not know.
Yeah.
And it like it, this like it like lit a fire under me again that was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to pursue this. I need to know more because this is knowledge that just needs to be out there." It's like similar to where someone does like a kettlebell certification and they just a whole wealth of knowledge has just been brought to them and then like you learn how to do resistance training in a totally different way using a
Mhm.
kettlebell. It's just so cool and I think where I was at was I wasn't finding that for myself. I just feel like I would dabble in this. I would do a certification and be really interesting to me, but I don't and very useful for just being
Mhm.
able to uh coach like general physical preparedness to the general population, but I just like felt like this is my lane now. This is where I need to
This is
be.
the niche. This is where you wanna
Yes.
dive deep
Yes, and it's
into.
so cool to be in that part of my career in fitness, you know? Like I said, I'll keep saying it, like, when you start out, you know that you enjoy it, you know that you like it, you know you wanna teach, but then you really start to figure out where your strengths are and what you're passionate about and what you wanna delve into more, and I think that that is just so cool about the fitness industry. I'm sure you too with,
Yeah.
like, Pilates and then really getting into strength training too. It's so cool to see how they, like, work together and, like, what you can cross over.
And yeah, just all movement modalities and mentality. And it's like your mentality changes as you get older too, because now I train for different reasons.
Mhm.
When I was a dancer, I trained for very different reasons. You're good. And yeah, I was very more aesthetics based and to be as small as you can. And there's something so nice about being on the other side of that. And for me, helping women, I don't, train for longevity. That's what I'm really, really
Mm,
passionate about.
mhm.
And the importance of picking up weights and your body is going to be with you until the end. And you want to, like you said, it comes with self-care. It's you want to take care of it. And I want to prepare my body for whatever is ahead. And, it's going to go through phases, but
Totally.
changing up and really trying out different movement modalities and kind of following, yes, like you said, like the path that most interests you. But like try a bunch of things. But I really think that I've talked about this with other people, but like the certification, any general certification is scratching the surface.
Exactly.
That's just that's
Exactly.
just like it's like going to college. It's like only the beginning. And
Right.
then, to really be an expert in something
Mhm.
takes years and years. And it's like that
Right.
practice thing again. And that's the
Right.
only way you're gonna have fun and stay interested in this profession is by continuously being curious and following those
Mhm.
things that interest you and letting your being adaptable to the times.
Totally. Like like I had said earlier, I was a long distance runner since I was 13. Like I was die hard long distance runner for life. And then I got pregnant and I was like, I know that I can still run,
Mhm.
but this is not what sounds exciting to me. Like I don't really want to do this right now. So I actually have not really been running since, and I had been recently ice skating.
I've
Um,
seen videos. You look
I
so
used to be a
cute.
figure
You're so
skater,
good.
so similarly, it was like very
Yeah.
competitive upbringing. But I've just been doing it. Had been doing it for fun, for joy.
Mhm.
I've been dancing more. I've been doing Pilates, which is
It's
just
important just to move for joy sometimes
exactly,
and not be, like, so rigid at your
exactly,
movement.
and
Just
like
move.
I think that I had it in my head that like being a runner was a part of my identity, and this is like what I do.
Mhm.
But I I wasn't enjoying it. It wasn't fun. My body was resistant to it. I never wanted to go and do it, and I had to force myself, and then I would be upset that I didn't have a good run. And it was just like, why am I doing this?
Yeah,
You
it's not
know?
like you're an Olympian anymore. It's like there's no purpose to putting your body through that. It's not if you're not training for something necessarily. Like
Right.
you
Like it
can
just I didn't even have like any joy doing it anymore. So I just like shifted and I was like, okay, I'm just not gonna do this anymore. I'm gonna do what I think feels good. A huge part of my like I think when I feel like I started to really step into my coaching voice too was when I actually was just moving for fun. Like I was skateboarding a lot, which I've not done that in a while. I was ice skating a lot. I was strength training a lot and doing a lot of like outdoor park like
Mhm.
workouts when the weather was getting nice, just like bringing my weights out and like um it just was joyful
I
to
love that you
me.
said joyful and that just honestly living your life and letting yourself live a full life, which doesn't mean just being in the gym, like filling your
Mhm.
cup outside of that with the good people you spend your time with, other extracurricular activities that just bring you joy, like painting, dancing. I don't know. People do like whatever you like to do. I think as coaches, in the beginning for me, I got so I mean, everybody's different, but like you, I found that my coaching and my ability to connect with people was so much easier when I let myself live.
Mm.
And like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like very, of course, I'm very like type A, my calendar is da 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 da. But
Yeah.
the more I've kind of released always having to have a plan and, like, it's left time for a little more spontaneity and play
Mhm.
and just being
Mhm.
having fun, and then you can bring that joy. You're happier. You're going to your class, and you're just
Exactly.
like, "This is,
Right.
natural.
You're more
You're
focused, you're
fun."
more present.
The focus, it's
Right.
insane, like, it's productive to be like, we think that we have to just go, go, go,
Like
work,
ticking off
work, work.
boxes, like
Yeah.
I did this, I did this.
I'm exhausted. I did 10 hours today. I used to pride myself on, like, teaching like 10 hours of privates, but now I'm like, yeah, but no like, I feel bad, like, those last 4 clients were not getting the best of me. Let
Yeah.
me tell you,
Yeah.
by that 10th
Totally.
hour, I was a walking zombie,
Yeah.
and
I
that's
get
nothing to be
it.
proud of because I wasn't giving that client my best. The quality of my exercise choices was definitely not the best,
Right.
and, and then I was super unhappy, so it's like, where's the I
And then
mean,
when you're moving for yourself, it's just like you're kind of just doing it just to tick off
and
the box that
and
you
then
did
you
it.
feel bad because 'cause you're exhausted,
Mhm.
and yeah, then I'm like, "Oh, I have to get this workout in because it's my
Mhm.
job." But, yeah, balance is hard, and it will be different for, of course, every different part of season of your life. When you have children, it's gonna dramatically change, depending on what you're going through, but giving that time for joy, I love that you said that is so
It's
important.
got to be joyful. Otherwise, it feels like a task that you don't want to do.
And then you're not living, and I really truly
Exactly.
believe that our job is to help people live their best lives because it starts, like you were saying, in the body and
Mhm.
being safe in your body. And what we
Right.
do is so amazing because we're helping people create stability and safety in their body because
Mhm.
they're learning how to push and pull. They're getting stronger. They're feeling more stable, just creating stability within their
Yeah.
muscles and
And then
joints.
they can like do all the activities that they want to do that make
Bring them
them
joy.
yeah, that
Like,
make them
yeah.
happy and like not have to worry that they're going to injure themselves.
Run with their kids,
Yeah.
like I think like that's a lot. That's a big thing I for people is just having the ability to be there and to be as healthy as you can for your family for as long as you can.
Yeah.
I think I was doing some research about kind of where the fitness industry is heading in the next 10 years and it's really longevity
Mm.
focused, less
Mhm.
aesthetics. Like of course there will always be that component of aesthetics, but when you really train for longevity, the aesthetics come much more quickly and you just it's that practice again and instilling that in ourselves first. Um like you were saying, your clients coming to your class and seeing how you were sort of changing the way you moved because you were pregnant, that there you're kind of showing them there, like, in the moment, how moving for longevity changes throughout
Mm.
your life
Mhm.
and how, like,
Mhm.
powerful and cool it is.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do think that with strength training, like doing the same, you know, 8 to 15 exercises and like progressing them and adding variations to them, you are gonna like see and feel like the best results. But
Mhm.
like you can have fun there. You can change it up. You don't have to do that 5 days a week,
Or you can change your mindset for
Exactly.
each exercise. I'd be like, "Today, I'm gonna focus on this." It's a
Right.
game. Make it a game.
Right.
Make it fun.
Right, exactly. You gotta make it fun, even when you're, on a disciplined schedule or you're really trying to follow a training plan or work with a trainer. Like, I think that's really great, but like it's gotta be joyful for you. Or like, let's say you do that and like maybe you really love to do yoga. You're still doing yoga. You can still add that in
Mhm.
because that is joyful for you. But like you got to make the other things that you're doing joyful for you or just like connect back to your why. If you're not connecting back to your why you're doing it, then your body's going to resist doing it.
And what's your why?
Oof. For training or for teaching and coaching.
For both.
Okay. My why right now, I'm having a lot of fun with moving actually. I've just been going to like the gym down the road for me and just like putting in my headphones in and just like playing.
Mhm.
Like I know all the key movements that are there that make a good workout and it's been fun just like programming and playing for myself. I'm really just like for training for myself, just keeping up with my son. I really want to uh hike a lot this summer. I really want to get back into skateboarding this summer.
Mm.
So like those are big goals that I have. So yes, there's like somewhat of an end goal, but it's like I want to prepare myself for these movement patterns that I want to do. Like my son is getting to an age where we're gonna be able to start playing around on, 2 to 4 wheeled things like skateboards and scooters and stuff, and I wanna feel, like, confident in my body, like, doing that with him
Mhm.
again. And I just love, like, hiking and going to the beach, so just feeling, like, strong, primarily my back, getting stronger, my back. And he's getting bigger, so just, like, being able to carry him and lift things in my
Mhm.
daily life. When it comes to teaching, my focus is, especially right now, and what's inspiring me are just like really listening to what my clients want to be doing. And that's just not like what they're telling me, like, this is my goal. I'm really paying attention to what they do outside of the gym.
Right.
Like they might mention that they really love going on walks, or they really wanna, like, go upstate and go on a hike with their baby and, like, wear their baby, and it's like, "Okay, I that's information for me, like, I wanna help you get there too, and, like, know that that is also a goal that you have." So, I have shifted more into working one-on-one with clients where I am able to have more personalized one-on-one attention to really pay attention to the things that they want to do, even though they might not be saying, this is my specific goal.
Mm.
I'm gathering it from like what their lifestyle is and like who they are and like what they enjoy.
Yeah, I love that. And my last question is going to be more two questions in one, but what would your piece of advice be for some like new women who are newly pregnant and it's daunting because they want to be active, they want to stay fit, but their body is about to go through dramatic change.
Mm,
What is something that you would like a piece of advice you would give newly pregnant women? This is not even just for this isn't for coaches, it's just generally.
yeah. Um, know that while it might feel like there are limited resources and people to go to and classes or whatever out there for what you're going through and the journey you're about to partake, it does exist, and there are people who specialize in this, and to really try to build your support system so that you can do that. When I say support system, it's like find maybe you find someone that has like online prenatal and postpartum classes, or you find someone on Instagram, or you find someone at your gym that is a prenatal and postpartum certified person, and then uh, you try to find classes that specialize in this and like look around. It is there. You still can do all of this, and like don't feel like you can't unless your doctor advises you to not. But like you can still have movement as a part of your life. Seek your resources, create your like your resource like belt of like, okay, this is where I go for strength training. This is who I ask for nutrition advice. This is this. And typically when you find one person who's qualified in that, they will already have those connections and be able to connect you with those people. Like I have a lot of people asking me like, "Hey, I really want to get into this." Um or let's say they're pregnant and like but I've been feeling this like every time I squat, this pain.
Mhm.
I'm gonna recommend them to a physical therapist. And then I'm gonna do my best to also work with them to relieve their pain. And then I'll also probably recommend a prenatal Pilates class too, because they'll be able to work more on like pelvic floor. It's like that, like right there, you got three connections to be able to help you to keep moving. That and then like this is such an exciting time in your life to like relearn who you are and like develop a new relationship with your body. Like your
Mhm.
body is going to change every week. And some weeks it's going to feel really scary and overwhelming. And then some weeks you're fully leaning into it and like know that it's going to be a wave going up and down, but like ride it out. Try to always tune in to yourself and what you're asking for. And I'll bring it back to joy. Like find ways that bring you joy and movement too. It doesn't need to be like, I have to do X amount of classes, X amount of prenatal and postpartum classes. Just like what is also bringing you joy and what feels safe to you.
I love that. And also
Thanks. Sorry, that was such a
no, no,
long-winded
I love
answer.
that. No, it's amazing, and women are so amazing and powerful, and the
Mhm.
body. All my friends are some. All of my friends are starting to get pregnant, and my friend just had a baby, and I just look at her and just think about even yeah, being, like, moms, and I'm just like, "Wow," like, the ability to grow a human being and then, like,
Yeah.
keep going throughout life
Mhm.
like nothing happened, it's just incredible,
Your
honestly.
your body does the most can is so capable of so many amazing things, and to be able to create a life, still live your life
Yeah.
while creating that life, and like do the things that you want to do, and like come out of it and have this like this this human being
Yeah.
is so freaking cool, and then you get to raise this person whilst being this new person that you are.
Yeah.
It's so freaking cool.
It's I mean, that's a mantra in itself for any pregnant women having a hard day is just being in your body and being proud to be able
Yeah,
to
and I
yeah.
can't lie, there were times, especially in the early postpartum period, where I was just so upset with how I felt in my body and how I looked and how my clothes fit, and I was like, and I had to keep reminding myself, I don't have to like wallow in this and like stay in this, and like I'll bring it back to like who are your resources and your support to help you work through that? Do you like therapy, physical therapy,
Mm.
even just like working with a trainer if you have the means to it, or like finding an accountability partner to like do
Yeah.
some workouts with. It's just like who is going to be in your resource belt, who you're going to call on, and then like what feels safe and gives and brings you joy again, and like tap onto that. Like we've kind of talked about it, but like happiness looks really good on people. Joy looks really good on people. You
Mhm.
can tell when someone is like experiencing joy or when someone is not doing so well. You
Yeah.
can see it in how they carry their bodies and how they feel, you
Oh.
know?
And my last question, I really love that. What is some advice that you would give a newer trainer? This is besides pregnancy,
Mhm.
but just a new trainer who's getting into fitness, who is kind of feeling it's like daunting to think about all the different avenues you can go down. What would be a piece of advice you would give them as they sort of enter the world of fitness?
Hmm. Never stop learning.
Hmm.
Always stay curious, and you're going to get better by continuing to learn and practicing. And I mean, you touched on this earlier, but like you become an expert at something when you've done it so many times. Like nobody is the same.
Mm.
No person is the same. Nobody moves the exact same. And you learn that with time and by working with people. And then, like I've said earlier too, like the more you start to learn, the more you realize you don't know, and tap into that curiosity. It'll be your fuel to keep going. And, when you think you've hit a wall or you've plateaued, think back to yourself like, what excites me? How do I wanna help people? And, like, keep letting that be your guide. And then also, like, you are you are doing this because you love it and you're passionate about it, and
Mhm.
have probably found this, it's a very personal thing for you too. So, like, still make it a personal thing. Keep those meetings with yourself to keep moving and find the joy in the movement. Otherwise, it's just gonna feel like a soul-sucking job, and you don't want it to feel like that.
No.
That's, like, such a cool thing about our industry too, is,
Mhm.
like, some of the best trainers, best teachers are the people who are, like, doing it for themselves
Yeah.
too,
I
you know?
think the best yeah, exactly, that to that point, all the people who've created the best workouts or just created systems or classes
Mhm.
or have very, very successful studios is because they've kind of created it for themselves. It's like you
Yeah,
see, what is it? I guess you see like a missing component in the market and you just fill that. I've talked about that with many teachers
exactly.
and it's like I exactly what you said. I'm curious about this. Think that something's missing, so I'm just going to dive deep
Mhm.
and try to understand and unpack and unfold and learn as much as I can about this specific thing because that's what's going to keep me going and then there's a need for it.
Exactly. Like, there are a lot of instructors out there, we've talked about it already, like,
Mhm.
anyone can get a certification online, but it's like, how are you going to apply it? How are you going to see what is needed here? How are you going to help solve problems? How are you going to help people get to the goals that they want to get to? And how are you going to like adapt and grow as a professional? with the knowledge that you have too.
I think, yeah, it wraps it up beautifully because that's the only way we're going to sustain and be honestly successful in this career.
Mhm.
Adaptability and education, and yeah, the way the world is changing and how technology is advancing, it
Right?
is up to you to keep learning and keep
Right.
adapting and keep being open to new knowledge, different teachers, different
Mhm.
thoughts.
Even
Yeah.
different modalities, because learning different modalities really helps for diversity of thought, and like having that diversity of thought when you are so used to teaching one thing or a
Mhm.
certain way, just like it expands what you know and how you're able to teach. And I think that is so cool. You see it with teachers who've been doing, teaching for like 10, 15
Mhm.
years on just like I see like strength training and like strength training coaches like really utilizing breath work because they've like learned the importance of breath. And yeah, I just think like that it's what you want to do if you feel that hunger for the knowledge and to keep learning more.
I love that you said that. Thank you so much for coming
Yeah.
on.
Oh
This
my
was
gosh,
really fun.
it was so nice to just like talk about our industry and what we do, because I feel like there are so many different parts to the fitness industry and so many different avenues you
Mhm.
can go. So you're so cool
You're
to
so cool,
chat. Oh
and,
my
like, I
gosh.
just feel your joy, like, I do. It's,
Oh,
like, so fun.
I feel your joy.
Also, the sun was coming in, so
I know it was
my eyes were like
I'm getting a little warm right now.
but, thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you for having me, Laura.